This episode is about my experience of doing a 30-day cleanse in August of 2022. I'm going to share with you my motivation for doing the cleanse, what the cleanse actually was, what it entailed, and my results. And included in those results were completely going off my thyroid medication. I am not offering any medical advice. I am simply sharing my experience and my thoughts on that experience. Welcome to Mount Mama Family Lifestyle. My name is Mary. I have been married for 34 years. I have 6 children, 3 of them are married, and I have 5 grandchildren. I like to share topics like faith, food, fashion, function, and fun. And for the purpose of this episode, I am 59 years old, or almost. I will be very shortly. I am 5'8.5" tall, and I weigh about 132, 133 pounds. Basically, the cleanse that I did along with my entire household was no gluten, no dairy, but eggs were okay, no refined sugar, and no added sugar. And we tried to avoid processed foods as much as we could. And we also did intermittent fasting. My motivation for doing the cleanse. So at the time, I weighed about 138. I have lost weight. I had lost weight about 3 years prior, going back to work full time, and I will share a video with you about how I did that. I was feeling really good because I had increased my eating habits in a healthy direction. I was exercising, I was very active, I was feeling good. However, I had been seeing videos on YouTube about women my age who had changed their eating lifestyle drastically in a healthy way, very similar to the cleanse we were doing. And I thought, oh, I probably should do that, and that's all well and good, but I have absolutely no desire to do that. I was not motivated at all. But then what happened was my husband, and he was overweight, probably about 40 pounds overweight, and he was having health issues. And one of his issues was he had dry patches of skin that he could just not get rid of. I mean, he had tried everything. He was always buying some new cream or ointment to try and help with his dry skin. And we have a daughter that lives with us, and she suggested that he do this cleanse. And she's also very much trying to eat a more healthy lifestyle, and she's been studying essential oils and natural remedies for things. And so she came up with this cleanse for him to do. And I think it was called a liver cleanse. She actually had a supplement that she got for him to do on the cleanse. I did not, however, take the supplement because I was not having the same problems that he was having. So anyway, she was going to go on the cleanse with him. And I thought, wow, that's really nice. But yeah, I'm not doing that. But I will do something. I wanted to do something to support him. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just give up dessert for a month so that I could be doing something on a diet with him and be supportive. Well, then I found out that my other daughter, who was home from college for the summer, she was going to do the cleanse also in order to help support her father, to help him with his health issues. And I just thought to myself, oh my goodness, my 2 daughters are willing to do this, which was very hard for them. It wasn't something they wanted to do in order to help support their father. And here I am, his wife, and I wasn't willing to do the cleanse. So I was shamed into doing it. I just thought, shame on me. I should do this if no other reason than to support my husband. So that's where my motivation came from. I really was motivated to do the cleanse to help him. And I need to say that I'm really glad I did it because having our whole household on the same diet and not eating any of those things that we shouldn't be eating really made it a lot easier to do. Yeah, it would have been really hard for me to do a cleanse like this if the entire household wasn't doing it together. So I'm very thankful that the Lord convicted me that I should be doing this cleanse in order to support my husband, if not for my own health. A few things about the cleanse itself. The first week was definitely the hardest. After the first week, it did get easier. It was still difficult, just not as difficult as that first week. And the very first day, I had a very bad headache, which I kind of expected something like that might happen, and I did take ibuprofen to get me through that first day. But I only had that headache for one day. I was expecting it to last 2, maybe 3 days, but I was able to get over it after the first day and not have a headache again for the rest of the month. The first week, I was also constipated. And you would think eating healthier, you wouldn't have that issue. But for me, I had trouble the first week. And I did take an over the counter Equate Walmart brand stool softener to help me out with that. And then again, after the first week, I was fine with that as well. Surprisingly, the very hardest thing for me to give up was diet soda. I craved diet soda the most. And I thought it would be sweets or desserts, but it was actually the diet soda. Eggs were allowed on the cleanse because technically they're not dairy, but I had a hard time with eating eggs. I could eat eggs in things, but I couldn't eat a whole egg. So if we had scrambled eggs, I would only have a couple bites because I would get a really, really bad stomach ache and I would be in the bathroom for sometimes hours if I did that. Anything with very high cholesterol really bothered my stomach. So I couldn't eat like crab cakes, I couldn't eat shrimp, like fried chicken, I couldn't eat the skin. Anything high in cholesterol gave me a really bad stomach ache. So my husband ate a lot of scrambled eggs on the diet, and my daughters did as well, but I could only eat a couple bites. I also believe this cleanse was easier for me to do at this time in my life because 3 years ago I had made a change in my diet and I was eating healthier. So it wasn't quite as big a step for me to do this cleanse as if I had done it prior to 3 years ago when I had changed my eating habits back then. Exercise. I really didn't set out to add any exercise to my routine when I was doing the cleanse because I was at that time and still am working 4 8-hour shifts at Walmart. I'm a cake decorator and I get 8 hours a day, 4 days a week from my work shift of mild to moderate exercise. And that is enough for me to maintain this weight, and it's a lot of exercise for me. Now, it was summertime, it was very nice weather, and I did go for walks. So I probably walked anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes a day just because I enjoy that and I get health benefits out of it. But there were many days when I didn't walk because I was busy with work or other things. And I feel like I was getting a lot of exercise on my normal work day, but I did do some walking. Intermittent fasting. So we each had different goals for intermittent fasting. My original goal was to have a window of 8 hours each day where I would eat and 16 hours where I didn't eat. After the first week, I had to change that because my first week on the diet, I lost 4 pounds and I thought that was way too much for me too fast. So I changed my window of eating to 12 hours a day and my fasting for 12 hours a day. And then that worked much better because the next week I think I lost 1 pound. And so I thought, okay, that's good. So I was open to making adjustments, and I'm glad I did because I needed more time to eat enough calories to sustain or not lose as fast as I should be for my height and weight. Cheat day. We had all agreed that we were going to allow ourselves one cheat day because we had an event schedule that we were going to, and we knew there was going to be a lot of good food, and we wanted to partake in that good food. This was a big mistake. I ate too much. I should have limited myself. I should have gone into it with the idea of I'm going to have a small portion of each one thing that I want to try and then no more. But I had seconds and even thirds of some things, and it was too much. I didn't stuff myself, but I felt really bad for days afterwards, even a week. And just that one meal, just that one cheat meal, I gained 2 pounds back, which really surprised me. And I felt like it took the whole next week, which would have been the third week of the cleanse, to recover from that one meal. And I felt very sluggish. Where I had felt that my body was being cleansed and detoxed, now I felt poisoned from this rich food that I'd eaten. So I would definitely recommend not cheating at all the 30 days. If you do allow yourself a cheat day, what I wish I would have done was gone in with the mindset of I'm going to try a little portion of whatever I wanted to, but only one small portion. I wasn't going to have seconds or thirds. I think that would have made a big difference. So my fourth week, I felt like I had recovered from the cheat day and I felt good again, like I was cleansing, like I was detoxing my body. What did I actually eat on the cleanse? And this was difficult because I wasn't used to eating this way. So it took me a good week to figure out what to eat. And we did shop prior ahead of time so that we would be prepared. But as we went day by day, we had to pick up things so that we would have more available. So I kind of got in the habit of having oatmeal for breakfast. And I would have a cup of oatmeal with a cup of unsweetened vanilla almond milk. So I would cook it that way with a little bit of salt. And I would cut up a banana and add it to it. And I would have that with orange juice with no added sugar. And that seemed to do really well for me for breakfast. And I still often have that for breakfast now. And then for lunch, I would usually have a mixture of brown and red rice with some kind of protein meat added. My husband really likes steak. He was cooking a lot of steaks on the diet, so I would add steak to that, or chicken usually. Or sometimes we would have fish with vegetables, or some kind of meat with vegetables for my main meal. And then for me, I would have 2 snacks a day, and they would be a quarter cup of nuts. And yeah, that was basically it. So I would have 2 meals, the oatmeal and the rice and meat, with 2 snacks. 1 snack between the 2 meals and 1 snack in the evening of the nuts. Now I would have other things, but that's basically, I ate a lot of those meals and those snacks. We were allowed to have fruit, fresh fruits and fresh vegetables on the diet. My husband did not eat a lot of fresh fruit, but I did eat probably just apples, oranges, bananas, but not a lot of them. I also had some gluten-free bread that I would have peanut butter, with no added sugar on the gluten-free bread. And oh, we had gotten some gluten-free, no sugar added crackers from Costco that were really nice to have. I felt like that was very satisfying instead of having like chips. And yes, they were processed. Like I said, we tried to avoid processed foods, but that was one of the things that I did allow myself to have, was those gluten-free, no sugar added crackers that we picked up from Costco. Now I would like to talk about my results of my 30-day cleanse, or the benefits that I believe I got out of it. So first of all, I did slim down a little bit. I lost about 8 pounds, and I've gained 2 to 3 of those back. So I did have a little bounce afterwards of weight gain, and I expected that, but I was very pleased that back in August we did the cleanse, and it's January now, so I've been finished with it for 4 months, and I kept off 5 of those 8 pounds. Now I have continued a lot of the same eating habits that I did on the cleanse. I don't stick to it strictly, but I do try to stick to it on the 4 days of the week that I work, and the 3 days that I don't work, I'm more relaxed. So on those 3 days, I am doing some better eating. Actually, I'm doing a lot better eating, but I do allow myself processed foods. I do allow myself, refined sugar and such. I feel really good at this weight. I felt really good before, but I feel even better now. It's so nice to wear clothes that I feel comfortable in, that I don't feel like, I don't know, I just feel very comfortable in my clothes. And I'm very pleased with the weight that I am now. I was pleased with it before, but I'm pleased with it now. I want to be able to stay active. I want to be able to do active events with my children and grandchildren. We have a big trampoline in our yard, and one thing I noticed was I could jump for a couple minutes with them. I can jump on the trampoline much longer with them and enjoy it. So that has been a wonderful benefit of doing the cleanse. My stomach issues have almost completely cleared up. I've had these issues for 15, maybe even, yeah, probably 15 years, where I couldn't eat anything high in cholesterol. And it took me a while to identify the problem, but once I identified it, I would pretty much avoid those foods. But it was getting worse. It was getting to the point where I could eat less and less of those foods. And then I was taking Alka-Seltzer chews to combat my stomach issues. And I was taking those Alka-Seltzer chews every day. Well, maybe 5 or 6 days a week. every day, at least once a day, sometimes twice a day, in order to keep that pain and upset stomach down. Since I did the cleanse, I think I've taken Alka-Seltzer chews 3 times. So in the last 5 months, I've taken them 3 times as opposed to every day, once or twice a day, 5 or 6 times a week. Huge difference. Also, I can now eat those high cholesterol items. I can eat scrambled eggs. I started out trying 1 and I was good. I tried 2, I was good. I've eaten 3 scrambled eggs with no stomach issues. I had shrimp cocktail on Christmas Day, no trouble whatsoever. I think what happened was I reset my digestive system. I was able to give it a rest for 30 days, and that was enough to jumpstart it or reboot it or whatever. But I don't have those issues anymore, and that feels wonderful. I don't need to take my thyroid medication anymore. I have been taking thyroid medication. I started maybe 8 or 10 years ago because I was so tired and I was diagnosed with having an underactive thyroid. And so I started taking the medication, and that made a world of difference. I had gotten to the point where I could barely function. And then taking the medication, I could function. I, I didn't feel I didn't feel 100% natural taking the medication. I don't know how else to explain it. I kind of felt like I had this artificial feeling of being able to stay awake. But it was much better than not being on the medication because, like I said, I'd gotten to where I couldn't function. So after I was on it for several years, I decided to give it a break and stop and see if I could just stop taking it. That did not go well. I needed to go back on it. I tried a second time a few years ago, same thing. I could not function without taking it. I needed to take it again. Well, about the time I started doing the cleanse, my prescription was about to expire, and my doctor wouldn't refill the prescription unless I went in to see her. And I wasn't looking forward to that because I had some issues with her, and I was thinking I really need to find a new doctor, but I was procrastinating and putting it off. And I thought, my prescription's going to expire. I'm doing this cleanse. This would be a good time to stop it again and just see what happens. So about the first or second week into the cleanse, I ran out of the medication. So I just stopped taking it. And then when I was done with the cleanse, I just thought, well, I'm doing okay. I'm just going to see what happens. So I was really trying to analyze myself, and I didn't feel like I needed it. I was awake. I was able to function. And I had this thought, well, maybe it's psychological. Maybe I'm just tricking my brain into thinking I don't need to take it because I don't want to take it. And then I thought, well, who cares? If it's working, who cares? So since I did the cleanse in August, I have not taken my thyroid medication again. And it feels wonderful. I don't have, I guess being on it, I felt like I had a very slight jittery feeling. And the only way I could say is it just felt unnatural. But like I said before, it was much better than what I was feeling being off the medication, which was just totally exhausted, totally sleepy. So I haven't taken the thyroid medication again. I feel my body feels natural. It feels normal. There are some days when I do feel tired. And I suspect what might be happening is maybe on some days my thyroid works better than others. So maybe, it kind of goes up and down. But I haven't gotten to the point where I'm overly exhausted for any length of time. It just kind of comes and goes. And I am almost 60 years old, so maybe that is a natural part of aging as well. So I'm just kind of taking it week to week, month to month. I'm not saying maybe I'll get to a point where I'll have to go back on it. But for right now, I am off it, and I wasn't able to do this before I had done the cleanse. Maybe my thyroid just needed a rest from certain foods and it was able to reboot or restart itself. I don't know. All this is very, I think it's called subjective. I think that's the right word because I haven't done any blood tests. So this is solely based on my feelings, but I feel like I can get by without the thyroid medication. And like I said, I tried before, but now the only thing that's different is my eating habits are better. and I'm just very happy about that. Overall, I think the cleanse was very helpful for myself and for the family as a whole. My husband did very well. The 30-day cleanse, it cleared up his skin issues, his dry skin. He went on, so for the cleanse, he lost 18 to 20 pounds, and he's gone on to lose another additional 20 pounds after that. So about 4 or 5 months ago, he was 40 pounds heavier than he is now. He looks great. He feels a lot better. The dry skin has cleared up, and I'm so glad I did it. That I was inspired, that I was motivated to do it to help him, and I was rewarded because it helped me as well. It helped me to, lose the 5 pounds and to be able to eat things that I couldn't eat before, like the high cholesterol items, especially the scrambled eggs, because I really enjoy scrambled eggs. And then I was able to go off my thyroid medication, which is huge. So I definitely would recommend a cleanse. I'm not saying that it's going to do any of these things for you, but you really won't know unless you try. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Thanks, and have a wonderful year.